What is going on, bros? This is a BDLM Matt coming to you with my friend J4Y. What's going on, buddy?
Hey man, how you doing? We got another game here from the Electronic Sports World Cup, actually is what it's called. Grand prize being $22,000. Of course, we see here it's EHOME going up against SGC. Wow, my tongue is twisted. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, letters are overrated. You don't need to get them right.
Fair enough.
Everybody pretty much understands what you're saying. So far here we have the bands starting up, Chen and Nature's Prophet by eHome, and on the other side we have Anti-Mage banned by SGC. Do you have any preliminary thoughts?
I'm honestly very shocked that eHome would ban Prophet. I mean, I guess I'm going back to... Oh, that's interesting. I'll get to that. I'm going back to the international tournament. Nature's Prophet was one of their top picks in that tournament, and to see them ban it outright, I guess they just wanted to go with a different strategy this game. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm sure the metagame plays into it a lot too. If you favor a hero like through every tournament you play, obviously people are just going to start to develop strategies for when they play you, or they just might flat out ban them. That Night Stalker pick, like you were saying, I'm pretty sure QQQ is the Night Stalker player. I could be wrong on that, but Night Stalker is definitely a favorite of that team. On the other side of the board for the Dire, we have Tidehunter and Windrunner picked up, both fantastic supporting heroes. So we also see Lich was the final ban on that side. So taking out what some people might consider one of the strongest carries and one of the strongest supports.
Absolutely. Anti-Mage, as we've seen in the past, obviously a very dominating hero. Interesting to note, though, Spectre not banned out. He's one of those heroes, of course, if you pick him up, he'll just get that farm and just get so tanky and dominating late game. He's really hard to deal with. So it'll be interesting to see if he gets either banned or picked up here. With that Night Stalker pick, I'm going to have to assume they're going to go with a couple supports maybe to follow this up.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how their team winds up going. They could pick up some people to take advantage of the early game. Night Stalker so strong with that Hunter in the night, able to pretty much at the 7-minute mark run rounds, dive towers, do whatever he pleases. So we'll have to see if they really want to try and take advantage of that early game dominance or push into the late game. They follow up their pick with Venomancer and Mirana, both very strong heroes. Venomancer with that early game potential and Mirana with that late game potential.
Yeah, we've seen Rana actually in every game we've casted so far, and I mean, she's just such a strong presence. She has a really good initiation if she can land that arrow, her burst damage from the Starfall, and then her ultimate if they need to escape or initiate. So an all-around really strong pick, and of course the Venomancer actually been picked up a lot too. So not surprising, I guess I want to say, but he's really good for turtling and also being aggressive with the wards. So we'll see how that goes. Meanwhile, over here on the Dire, they decided to go with Witch Doctors. So now their supports are finalized, and all that leaves is a middle and I guess a hard carry.
Yeah, kind of interesting to see if they pick up the 3 supports together like that. There's a lot of potential really between those 3 heroes right there. Witch Doctor's ulti is just fantastic, especially when you can potentially stun someone with a shackle shot, and also that Tidehunter ulti knocking everybody up, giving an extra couple bursts of damage, also helping you line up things like Witch Doctor's Maledict. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they look to finish off their teams, but before we get to that, we have the second round of bans. Looks like the Dire are going to make the first ban here in the second part of the picking stage. Looks like they might wind up eating into their bonus time. No, they actually banned Storm Spirit. Very interesting. Not someone that you might expect right off the bat be a favorite to ban out. And Spectre banned by the Radiant. As we were saying earlier, one of those carries that can really wreak havoc late.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all, that Spectre ban, and I'm going to have to assume another hard carry that they just do not want to deal with, maybe Faceless. I'm not sure which direction they'll go, but someone they're not going to want to mess with later on. And actually, I guess someone that they can silence, because that Night Stalker silence at nighttime, I believe you can get all the way up to 8 seconds. It's almost like a Doom in a sense. It's ridiculously how long that can be. So, someone that has to cast a lot of spells, they're probably not going to be too concerned with. So it'll be interesting to see which direction they go. But yeah, harping on that Storm Spirit ban, I'm not 100% sure why they decided to go with that. I mean, he is a great initiator. There's no doubt about that. He can jump into the fight, especially if he gets that beat KB. He's really hard to CC and control, but I don't know. I figured there'd be other ones. Actually, they finish off here with a puck man instead of a hard carry. What are your thoughts on that?
I suppose. I mean, that's another one of the situations where it's ultis that help set up other heroes. If you get the puck ulti down and then you get a Witch Doctor ulti, they can't run away. The other thing too, when you're talking about that Storm Spirit, just to close off on that, they already have Night Stalker, who EHOME always plays as the solo mid. He can be played in a sign lane, but they really like him for mid. They like him being able to hit his ulti soon, be able to prolong those darknesses, to be able to gank the other lanes. As far as interesting bans go, Tinker, the last ban for SGC. Another mid hero, actually.
I got 2 words for that one. It's respect ban.
Respect ban, you say?
Yeah, EHOME. And I guess I keep going back to the international tournament because, let's be honest, there hasn't been that many Dota 2 tournaments to look at. But EHOME picked up that Tinker multiple times throughout that tournament and really dominated with him. I mean, he can just, as soon as he gets his boots of travel, he is such an annoying hero to deal with. He can go port around all the lanes, gank, he can farm the lanes, push them, then teleport back to base, get full mana, and repeat, So definitely a good respect ban here.
Yeah, the last couple picks that we see coming out here, Earthshaker and Drow by EHOME. Very interesting there. And the Weaver, there's finally a hard carry we can see for SGC. We'll have to see what their last pick is, but Shaker obviously very strong with his ulti, finally getting some more AoE in there, and Drow, another strong carry, and whose silence again is gonna be huge in the late game. So we have 2 silences, 3 hard carries. Very interesting lineup here for EHOME.
Yeah, I mean, they did pick Drow after Weaver, so maybe they were like, well, if we silence him, and actually in combination with Night Stalker silence, Weaver's actually gonna probably have some trouble if he gets called out in these fights. So he'll probably be a lot more passive, at least at the start of them. We'll have to see how that goes. But this EHOME team, probably the definition of a turtle team.
Yeah, they just need to survive until the 35-40 minute point. If they can do that and they can keep farm even on 2 of these 3 carries, they'll be looking for a strong late game. Slardar, the last pickup here by SGC. I really like it. It's another AoE stun. It's, again, I hate to keep saying it, but it's a setup for a lot of other things on the team. And of course, an AoE stun is just always fantastic.
Yeah, I guess as far as lanes go, I mean, who knows, but I'm going to have to assume here they're going to send Night Stalker to maybe face off 1-on-1 against either that Weaver, probably that Weaver, and then in the middle they're going to send that Windrunner up against, actually they've got a couple options. It could be Night Stalker mid or Mirana, we'll have to see. And then of course that tri-lane, I'm going to have to guess is both top.
Yeah, we see everybody actually heading up towards top lane, so we won't get any hints as far as what the lanes will be. We can see QQQ on Night Stalker. I'm pretty sure he's going to be mid. A ton of health regeneration on him, 2 healing salves, some tangos, and plenty of stats to go around. They're going to go up into the top lane. They're going to try and get into the jungle, but they won't find anyone there. So what are your kind of closing thoughts on these teams? Which would you kind of give the advantage to at this point?
It's going to be all about the initiations. I mean, as soon as nighttime hits, if this Dire team does not ward up properly, doesn't get that sight, they're going to have a lot of trouble because, as we know, EHOME with that Night Stalker, any team really, all he has to do is get that really decent initiation, and he's just going to tear people apart. He just ramps so well. People build that urn on him, and he can just sustain so heavily, just get those levels and get that farm. So they're going to have to really shut him down early to really have a good chance. Actually, I called that wrong. It looks like the tri-lane for the Dire is going to be bottom, and they're going to send a solo Weaver top.
Very interesting there. Just one last thing about the picks in general. There's a lot of mobility around here, not in the kind of blinking, jumping around that we might see from like an Animage, but you have the jump from Mirana, and then Hunter in the Night gives Night Stalker plenty of movement speed, and then by the same token you have the sprint by Slardar and the invisibility, the Shukuki by Weaver.
Shaboopy.
to help him. Yes, the Shaboopy by Weaver to help him move around the map as well.
Yeah, I mean, actually they're doing a traditional 2-1-2 lane. Drow actually gets taken out already by this kill lane. You know, level 1 paralyzing cast with the shackle shot and then the gush. You know, massive damage, and Drow is such a ridiculously squishy hero pretty much throughout the game. All she gets is that silence to help her out. So, and then with the Vino supporting, you know, and no Behemoth to back them up, I mean, they really have nothing to stop them from killing her.
Yeah, definitely. You know, we saw that double damage to him, Witch Doctor certainly helped. You know, like as we were saying, in earlier games, other situations, he has just a ton of upfront damage just from the beginning. Is really just high base damage. So picking up that double damage, just kind of insult to injury in that regard, certainly help him pick up the kill there. I like just double check with you. What's your timestamp right now?
11:02, 03, 04, 05.
Okay, I'm at 11:04, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay, we're good.
9. Alrighty, pardon me and my amazing computer. Here in the top lane we have Mirana getting harassed in a little bit. Look at all the regeneration on her though. 2 stacks of Tango and a healing salve as well. Weaver is really gonna, you know, for a run for his money. You know, he really needs to secure this farm, but you know, when Mirana has this stun support from Shaker, you know, it's going to be really easy for her to pick up farm as well.
Yeah, they're going to be upset by killing Weaver actually pretty easily. I mean, you follow up the Behemoth stun with the Mirana arrow, and Weaver being super aggressive actually, surprisingly. I mean, he does have the 2 healing styles, so I guess he's looking like he could lose a couple hit points, but ultimately, you know, really being aggressive. Meanwhile, bottom, that's an Invis Tidehunter looking to set something up down here. And look how far back they are. I mean, they are definitely scared about staying anywhere near here. As you see, Venimans are trying to put up a ward here, but they just can't get anywhere even near the creeps, and that's going to really hurt Drow.
Yeah, that's the really nice thing about picking up Venomancer as a support is, you know, those awards give an amazing amount of vision. You know, they're very suspicious of where this Tidehunter is. Obviously, they see that he's not there trying to set something up. Actually, now he comes out of the invis, he looks to Gush to open something up. There's no follow-up, though, so, you know, Drow's just going to have to wind up using some of her tangos to help regenerate some of that health. But yeah, playing very passively, very smart, because they know he's somewhere and they don't know exactly where, so they don't want to give up another kill, because 2 kills would just put Drow so far behind. Speaking of which, it was come in again, cast the Gush. Will they be able to pick up this kill? Venomancer doing what he can, laying down those wards, but Tidehunter chasing continually. Drow goes down to 15 health, and Windrunner able to pick up the 2nd kill there. Now Windrunner looking to shackle shot Venomancer. Luckily, no trees behind him. He is not shackled with a tree. That certainly would have spelled out a double kill there if he had gotten that.
Yeah, another great set on Drow. She's so far behind already, it's ridiculous. She only has this poor Wraith Band, no boots. It's level 2. I mean, she doesn't even have silence yet, so, you know, not much they can do 2 versus 3 in this lane. Meanwhile, in the middle, it looks like Night Stalker 14-3 versus a 17-2 Slardar, so it's pretty even, but it's not even nighttime yet. Once it hits nighttime, you're going to have to assume Night Stalker's going to both dominate his lane or really try to help out that bottom lane, would be my guess.
Definitely, you know, nighttime, the first nighttime happens between the 6 and 7 minute mark. You know, that's about when he'll be level 5 or 6. Oh, he's level 5 now, so he'll probably be 6 by the time that rolls around. He'll be able to extend that darkness. So far, he has not picked up his silence. You'd have to, or yes, the silence. So you'll have to imagine that he'll pick that up before the nighttime, just you know, really giving him an advantage over any heroes that he comes up against. It is really interesting to see Slardar here against him in the middle lane. Obviously, SGC knew that there was going to be a Night Stalker middle. They knew that they could send that melee hero there because he wasn't just going to get outranged and out-harassed. So just very smart on their part, realizing that they can afford that.
Yeah, Slardar with the bottle probably doesn't happen too often in your regular games, but obviously it makes a lot of sense in this one. He's going to actually hit 6 on the next creep, and if you put that ulti on top of Night Stalker, it's really good to have that vision, you know, throughout, and I believe it lasts up to 25 seconds, so, you know, if you can get that on him really soon, you know, you'll be able to see where he goes, and they'll work pretty much just as well as wards would.
Yeah, the other thing too is, you know, giving that armor debuff is certainly going to help Weaver as well. The other thing too is Weaver's Swarm also provides armor reduction, so whoever they decide to go on is going to have a hard time staying alive. Weaver running around. That's a really nice thing about picking him up for a solo lane is he can Shibupi everywhere. He is very safe up in that top lane with Shibupi. That's what I'm going to call it until the end of time.
Okay,
it's been decided.
We have spoken.
Yeah, we have spoken. The decision has been made. Down here in this bottom lane, Drow up to 300 gold. Poor girl, level 3. She's actually tied with the tri lane for levels. That's just something you never want to see.
Yeah, that's kind of harsh. Actually, the rune does spawn bottom right as nighttime hits, and it is an invisibility rune. Night Stalker's looking to get it, but Witch Doctor sees him approaching, and sure enough picks it up just to block him in time. You can only imagine the damage an Invis Night Stalker would do. Their wards actually just despawned, but thankfully Witch Doctor has a fresh set to deliver here. Before they despawned, he had them set up for both the river and this bottom area, as I'm showing on my screen that you can't see, poor Matt. But either way, they had that full vision of bottom, so they'd be perfectly safe in Night Stalker, which is exactly what they need to do.
Yeah, here's the thing. I was actually just looking at Night Stalker while you were talking about that. Look at what he's picked up for his skills. He's gone 3 into Void and 3 into Heart in the Night. Huh. Not interested in extending the nighttime, not interested in silencing. What do you think about that?
I'm not a fan, personally. I really like at least getting that ultimate. Another 25 seconds can be so helpful, especially when, it's basically all it's doing is making you stronger throughout the game. And I mean, why wouldn't you want to do that? Let's just see. He actually decides to max out Void. The one rank of silence is all I would want at this point. I mean, 5-second silence and a 40% chance to miss on the target, that's huge, especially on like a Slardar.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, as you're saying, both of those moves to me are huge. I think you could make the argument for not picking up Darkness. I mean, 25 seconds is a fair amount of time, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, if you're not going to spend the point in Darkness, I would definitely want to see it in Crippling Fear. But here we have in the bottom lane, it looks like they try to land up a Shackle onto Venomancer. It does not hit another tree, though, so he will be able to make it out. But yeah, as you said, 2 wards down in the bottom for the Dire, making sure that they can control that vision and really stop any pulling shenanigans, as we see actually now Earthshaker has gone to the bottom lane. Oh, here we have the rune. Looks like Venomancer tries to pick up the haste. Will he be able to get away? Yes, he just barely does. Night Stalker comes in. Will he be able to pick up the kill on Slaughter? He does. Now he looks to go in on Voodoo. Will the two of them be able to... Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. Tidehunter turns around. Pardon me. Night Stalker able to pick up a kill there. Venomancer comes back in but gets dangerously low yet again. Silence finally put up on Windrunner. Drow looks to try and come in and help. The nighttime is just being so detrimental. Shaker picks up the kill there as QQQ is able to just chase people around with all the movement speed that he has from Hunter in the dark.
Yeah, I mean, that really wasn't a great idea by the Dire to go in on that. I mean, they did almost pick up that Venomancer, but Slaughter was going in with close to half health and half mana, and he didn't have any charges on his bottles, so when Night Stalker came in with full charges and he was ready to go, and it just wasn't even a fair fight from the start. And that Night Stalker at nighttime, especially the way he's built him now with maxed out Hunter in the Night as well as Void, he's just so strong at this point in the game. You really don't want to try to start that kind of a fight.
Definitely, we can see Night Stalker benefiting from all that action. He gets up to 1,460 gold now. That's definitely going to be useful. He's going to be able to start picking up items pretty soon and look to carry his dominance in the nighttime into the day. Hopefully being able to pick up some items and help him with that. And in the bottom lane, we have Windrunner picking up Arcane Boots, really taking advantage of that tri-lane setup, making sure they can keep up that harassment and keep the spells coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Meanwhile now, Weaver's finally left to start beginning his farm. He's actually tied in levels with Mirana here. And decides to max out with that Shibupi. Good choice. Obviously, he can do his harassment and escape on a low cooldown, so obviously it makes a lot of sense. Drow, though, still so far behind. I mean, she's up to 12 creep score. That is not what you want on your hard carry.
Yeah, when we were talking in the banning and picking, though, her shortcomings are going to have to be made up by Mirana and Night Stalker. They've been doing a pretty good job so far. Mirana looks to try and set up an arrow at the top lane. Does not hit anything except for a creep. Slardar now actually sees her, looks to try and pursue. No, he decides to turn around and come back. He does not want to mess, again, with the Night Stalker at night. He's just so strong in that situation.
Yeah, he still has yet to pick up that ultimate. Hopefully level 10 he's going to decide it's worthwhile, but actually, possible gank here by Night Stalker. He's going to look to go in right now. He's going to do the slow, followed by a Crippling Fear here, possibly. No, he does not actually get the Crippling Fear off in time, and it looks like Weaver's going to be just fine.
Yeah, it's unfortunate he wasn't able to get that off. I think it certainly would have been a kill if he would have gotten that silence off. As we said, the night duration is 5 seconds, which is practically an eternity when we're talking about MOBAs. Mirana's able to just keep up her farm here. Being able to push Weaver out of the lane, though, is still a huge amount. Here in the bottom lane, we have plenty of action going in. Tidehunter gets away with barely any health. Of Poison Cask actually doing a lot to stun both Drow and Earthshaker, stopping them from continuing on a pursuit. But Night Stalker comes in and is able to pick off Windrunner, as now 4 of them are here in the bottom. An arrow lands on Warlock, playing the Tidehunter, and Night Stalker gets himself a double kill, something that you certainly do not want to see.
Wow, what a fantastic start. This Night Stalker's got to be feeling pretty full of himself. He's already 4-0 with a 40 creep score. Very strong. He has that urn with already 3 charges on it. I mean, that's just amazing. He does have his ulti, and I do want to point out he hasn't used it yet to just extend the night, so it looks like he's going to save that potentially to set up more ganks. And I mean, I think I can agree with that. It makes a lot of sense when it's only level 1. Like when it gets level 2 and 3, it's a really long duration, and it's pretty worthwhile, especially because the cooldown does get reduced at the same time. But yeah, I mean, I guess would you agree with his decision not to use it right now?
Oh, I think so. The night is almost over, like you said. It's only a 25-second duration. With Hunter in the Night, it really is almost an escape mechanism when you think about it. It gives you that extra movement speed with it being nighttime, 35%. The attack speed in case you want to just try and be able to pick somebody off. So like you said, both useful for trying to pick up a gank, as well as get yourself out of a poor situation. In the bottom lane, Slardar with a double damage rune, and Night Stalker with an Invis rune. They're going to try and set stuff up on each other. Drow Ranger gets taken out almost immediately. A double damage doing so much. Night Stalker does not come out of the Invis. Doesn't really need to. Tidehunter actually runs into him a little bit there. Probably not enough to set off any alarms that there's somebody there. But we'll have to see if there's any kind of response here by EHOME to try and defend this bottom tower. It's just Night Stalker for the moment. We'll have to see if it's now daytime, so he doesn't have the advantages of Hunter in the Night. It looks like they're probably just going to let this tower go, and oh, there he goes, the ult. He will go in here on Tidehunter, looking to take him down. It's not enough damage, though, and they are able to get the tower and hopefully run away. Tidehunter, though, in a very sticky situation, on 185 health, like every good player, carries his portal of, or his scroll of talent teleportation.
Portal? Wait,
talent portal teleportation of scrolling.
Cool.
Yeah, we are the best. He is able to get away, but now we have, it looks like Night Stalker will try and go in on this Witch Doctor. Uses 2 urn charges, I believe, trying to get kills down here. Yes, he does. Now he has to fight this Slardar, who is going to get away. So will Night Stalker. They just decide to go their separate ways. A gentleman's disagreement. And they will continue on with the game.
I say good day. Moonmancer actually was left with Windrunner in the middle to just kind of farm it out, and I mean, Veenomancer really could use maybe some arcane boots or something to really support his team at this point in the game. He's obviously, when he was supporting, he wasn't able to do a lot of good. So Windrunner in hand already finished the headdress, about to finish the buckler, and they get that mechanism can be so crucial against those Night Stalker games.
Yeah, it's clear to see you got all the farm there. Nothing else on the other 2 players in that, but that's in that tri lane. But that's what they really want. They want to be able to get that sustainability, get the team fight presence that those items on Windrunner really help provide. Picking up that and perhaps later Pipe of Insight should be really helpful to try and deal with the amount of spell damage coming out from Night Stalker, as well as the Starstorm by Mirana.
Actually, action here about from the bottom jungle. The Behemoth getting completely caught out of position. Really good setup there from the Slardar and the Witch Doctor stun. And they're just going to take probably some of these jungle minions. Actually, possibly look to set something up on here on Drow. And as we were saying, Drow has absolutely no way to escape. So if she does get caught by just a simple stun or slow, she could potentially die pretty easily.
Yeah, Night Stalker comes down here looking to support, as does Veenomancer. He can really help turtle them, help entrench them by this tower with his wards. They are maxed out, so they're going to do a good amount of damage to the creeps that look to try and push there. Looks like SGC will back off as Mirana picks up a kill on Weaver in the top lane. Huge that she was able to do that.
Yeah, I actually did catch the tail end of that. It appears that Weaver was kind of like up in
Here in the middle
face.
lane, actually, Night Stalker will get initiated on here by the four of them. So much drop to try and get him, but he still has 66 up. What are you doing? No, Slardar is able to pick up the kill, get on a killing spree, and now they're going to look to push this tower as well.
Tidehunter ended up dropping his ult just to try to finish him off. Didn't even need to, but it just shows how much they really want to take him down. Because honestly, him and Mirana are the only things really going well for this team.
Definitely. You know, like we were saying earlier, we need these at least two of these three heroes to do really well, and you know, if they can keep down this Night Stalker as well as the Drow, you know, like I said in previous times, Mirana not necessarily considered a hard carry. She can certainly do it in sticky situations, but as she actually gets initiated on here by the Weaver, she will just leap out and then teleport away. But you know, it's going to be Weaver and Slardar versus probably Mirana and Night Stalker, and the way that the events in the game are starting to turn out, it'll be an interesting fight, that's for sure.
Yeah, as you can see from this gold chart, it's
actually in the bottom lane, Drow Ranger is now getting initiated on here. Poison Cast and Gush by Tidehunter. It will be enough. Windrunner picks up the kill, and now it looks like Venomancer will also know the Mirana ult is dropped. He will be invisible, and as it runs out right next to Slardar, broken ankles abound, but oh no, Tidehunter's still here, lands the Gush. Will he be able to somehow escape the wards? Not enough damage from the wards. Slardar will get another kill, and he is now dominating as these four heroes look to push the bottom lane yet again.
The interesting choice. He decided to get the Ogre Club, which, you know, you have to assume is going to turn into that BKB, get that magic community. Not a bad choice, obviously, against this team when you consider they have Veno ult, Behemoth ult, Mirana. I mean, they do a lot of magic damage, but, you know, sometimes you often see that, you know, the Blink Dagger to try to initiate. I don't know. Which do you prefer in this game?
Well, Night Stalker's actually getting initiated on here at the tower. A lot of this upfront damage coming out on him. He's still not going down. A Maledict and a Death Lord place to make sure they get this kill. They do not want him getting away from these fights, as we can see. All these ultimates drop just for pick him up. Now, Ronald looks to come in, trying to pick up a kill on Witch Doctor. He has put some points in that Voodoo Restoration, so he will regen up. They now have to turn it around on Piranha. They do take him down. Drow up here now gets stunned, and the cask is going to help keep her in place as the Amplified damage is placed on. And Slardar will pick up that kill with his stun. They will get some revenge, though, as Slardar goes down, but now Earthshaker gets chained to a tree. They will pick up another kill. Witch Doctor actually picking up a kill on Shaker. Now Venomancer looks to try and get some revenge. He's laying out his wards. He's trying to do what damage he can with his poison, but because of the way he's built, playing that supporting role, it's going to be difficult for him to try and pick something up here. He's not microwaving those plague wards, something you need to do to try and get the slow on. You know, that's obviously some really high-end play to do that. But, you know, unfortunately, he is not able to do anything in that situation.
You know, when you said chained to a tree, I was just imagining, like, you know, some hippie, save the trees, man. I don't know.
Nature's Prophet banned out of this game, so he will not be the one doing that, unfortunately.
That is a pity, isn't it? But yeah, really great fight. It's a pity Slardar forgot about his magic wand. He had 15 charges. He could have actually survived that fight, but still they did a great job. Chained the CCs. Those shackle shots were just so important. You know, very often you'd see him hit two heroes, and you know, when you can hit two heroes for, 3.75 second stun, that's so crucial to, you know, turning the fight in your favor.
Definitely Slardar now is able to pick up his middle hammer. He's going to be able to get a little bit closer to that magic community, which is just going to allow him to run rampant. You know, once he get that amplified damage on somebody, he actually looks to sprint towards Mirana, forces her to blink away, essentially, or to leap away, pardon me, and Slardar is going to deny this tower at the middle lane, stopping those all-important carries on the other side from getting the farm they so desperately need.
Correct me if I'm wrong, is Core Staff made for Maelstrom?
Maybe. I don't think we'll see a Maelstrom,
It's the new beta, man. I don't know.
Maelstrom is just the way to go, apparently. What is something you definitely see often is Slardar using an amplified damage to take down Roshan early. And that's what we have going on here. Tidehunter taking some hits. He's now going to trade it with Slardar. They're here with this Witch Doctor. If he feels like he wants to, he's going to be able to turn on that Voodoo Restoration. Very smart decision, though, to not drop that right away if not needed. He wants to be able to keep enough mana to at least cast or drop that ulti. Then you choose Slardar picks up the Aegis. And if he gets a little bit more farm, he is going to be both able to resurrect himself and be magic immune in the next team fight to come up. So he's setting up to be very important in the coming minutes.
Definitely. I mean, You know, really smart counter pick against this Night Stalker when you're trying to think, okay, who can we use to, you know, shut down essentially that Night Stalker in team fights? You know, with that armor debuff, that vision at all times, and then that nice AoE stun he has, he really is doing a fantastic job setting up the kills he needs to for this team. And if he can follow that up possibly with a Blink Dagger after this BKB, I mean, they're going to have such strong initiation for these team fights.
Definitely taking advantage of the nighttime, though. Night Stalker in the middle lane is going to look to go in here on Witch Doctor, pardon me. He does get the silence. He is doing this slow. He puts his Earn Charge on there. Really wants to get this kill. He is able to pick it up as Marana also picks up a tower. Slardar really wants to try and come in here. Looks like Tidehunter will not get the gush off. He will not be slowing Tidehunter, and they look to just go back to farming.
That's Night Stalker finally getting back into his groove a little bit. I mean, it's unfortunate he can only pick off support, but, you know, any kill is better than no kills. Meanwhile, top lane, actually, a 1v1 going down here from Marana. She's going to end up probably leaping here. There she goes. She did finish into an Oblivion Staff. We'll get back to that later, but it looks like she'll be just fine. Oblivion Staff, what's she turning that into?
I'm wondering if maybe she wants it for another silence. As crazy as that sounds, perhaps they're really going to leave it up to Night Stalker and Drow to carry this in the late game, picking up an Orchid Malevolence, perhaps, for the Silence on Weaver.
Let's just say it's unusual.
It is certainly unusual. We'll have to see what she winds up doing with that, for sure.
But yeah, Weaver, even though he has no items, he's still showing that he can dish out the damage, especially with that ultimate. I mean, he was going 1v1 versus that Marana, who definitely got better farm throughout this game, and he can still keep up with her. So, you know, it's positive news. Even though his farm but actually I'm missing initiation. Night Stalker getting taken out barely by the Windrunner power shot. Amazing play there, you know. And here comes Slardar. He's not done yet. He's got a lot of speed. They're trying to find this Marana, but she's going to leap away and teleport out to be just fine. So another a very important kill on Night Stalker.
Definitely. I mean, being able to take down Night Stalker at night, that's huge. Just being able to show they can do that. In the meantime, Drow Ranger is actually able to pick up some farm here in the middle lane. She picks up a Morbid Mask, trying to get some lifesteal, some sustainability in these fights. Hopefully she can really kind of step up and take on some of the heroes in the opposing team, which she has not been able to do up to this point.
Looks like a top's going to push top's going to happen here. You know, and with that Witch Doctor, I was going to call him Voodoo just myself, Witch Doctor, you know, who's maxed out his Voodoo Restoration, has 0 points in Maledict, actually, I'd like to point out. Looks like they'd rather just go for that straight up team fight push instead of more, I guess, the aggressive Witch Doctor style.
Yeah, you know, it's very interesting. I mean, right now they're kind of putting all their hopes and dreams into the Slardar for the moment until Weaver can get up. Now we have some initiation. Tidehunter pushes way too far, but look at that. The heals from this Witch Doctor, as we were just saying, coming in here to help save him. They're actually returning and kill Venomancer, and look at this. Tidehunter is still alive. These heals being huge. He's able to get away. No, Marana leaps after him. Able to get a kill there. Slardar now getting very low. Will he be taken out? He does have that Aegis Immortal, so if he does fall, he will come up shortly after. They land a stun on a Night Stalker, but Night Stalker and Alex to turn this around on Weaver. Will they be able to get a silence out and stop him? Yes, he is silenced. Will he go? Yes, he does fall to Night Stalker, and Slardar now has to retreat. He does pick up the tower kill, but at what cost? Looks like Marana, Night Stalker, and Drow, the 3 carries from EHOME, are going to be able to pick up that kill. And now look to chase down this Windrunner, who will most likely be able to get away with this Windrun. Huge fight there.
Yeah, amazing defense. And actually, we were at the beginning of the game, I was telling you how, oh, actually, Marana Arrow coming up, looking to set something up. Look how the sheer speed of this Night Stalker in nighttime gets the slow, actually gets the silence, not the slow. Interesting choice there. You'd think he'd do the opposite direction. He's coming around now, look to try to come off, but here's a Witch Doctor. Poor Witch Doctor gets silenced and slowed. They're going to try to turn around this, but there's no way they're going to be able to save him. He's going to drop. I take that back. He's still alive somehow. Amazing survivability and good support here. And Night Stalker and Ron are going to look to try to fall back here. But
definitely,
I want to just finish my point, if you don't mind.
I do.
But what I was trying to say before is the sheer turtleness of this team. That is an interesting word.
Turtlenicity.
Turtlenicity. Venomancer with his ward, but Earthshaker with his ultimate, and then Mirana with his clearing waves and whatnot. They have a really good ability to just stand.
Here in the bottom lane, actually, we have Slardar chasing down Venomancer. He will get the stun on him. Looks like Weaver will come in here, also apply his armor debuff, and Slardar able to take out that Venomancer easily with all that missing armor.
Yeah, that was a really good initiation. Slardar obviously very well known to be good at that. Looks like Night Stalker in the meantime just going to be farming this jungle. After that Urn and Quick Vanguard, he really hasn't gotten anything for himself, which is pretty unfortunate considering how all over the map he's been.
Yeah, he just recently actually picked up that Vanguard, finishing that up. I actually like to point out, too, I was looking around when we were talking about that Witch Doctor almost going down several times. He has picked up a Medallion of Courage. So, normally when we look at armor debuff teams, actually we have some initiation going on here. Actually, everybody will get away. Very close call there. SGC almost looking to get good initiation there as EHOME looks to just farm around the jungle. Normally when we think about armor debuff teams, it generally involves Vengeful Spirit, but actually we have the debuff from Weaver, we have the Slardar debuff, and now with this Medallion of Courage, the potential to decrease the armor of the opposing team by an additional 6, which is insane. Here in the middle lane, actually, it looks like QQQ may not be able to get away here. It is nighttime. Will it be enough? Look at that ulti channel the whole time there by Witch Doctor, able to help secure a kill, and again, taking down Night Stalker when he's at his best. They look to continue this on the Venomancer. The gush, the power shot, the death. He goes down, and they now look like they might try to look to push this middle tower as Mirana pushes the bottom tower.
Windrunner is just such an amazing job at chakra shots all game, really. As you saw there, that was really what set up that kill on Venomancer. But it is unfortunate they have to use all these ultis just to kill Night Stalker, but when you look at it, after Night Stalker is dead, there's not much of a threat left on their team.
Yeah, definitely. Mirana wasn't even there to help with that fight. Now we can see that Weaver and Mirana are duking it out yet again. They actually seem to be doing this all game, going back and forth. She will just leap away as Shibupi is popped by Weaver. He is not able to chase her into the trees. She is able to teleport out, and there we go. Mirana picks up Orchid Malevolence. Just, another call. Just throwing that out there. Picking up that silence to stop Weaver from getting away.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, it makes sense. I mean, you have to think, it is logical. Drow, where has she been all game? She's been trying to catch up from that farm. You haven't seen her in these team fights and with these effective silences. So without that, all they really have is that Night Stalker silence, which is, a decently long cooldown, I guess, 12 seconds. So really, they only get to choose that once a fight. But now you add an Orchid Malevolence on top of that, which, of course gives her attack speed and damage and mana regen, which are all great stats for her. But never mind that, she also gets a silence that also amplifies damage by 25%. So you put that on someone you want to kill, they're going to most likely die.
Definitely, and they want that Weaver dead. The other thing too is you look at the opposing team. Slardar has to sprint in and get his stun off. Tidehunter has to run in at this point to try and put in his stun. The Witch Doctor ultimate is a channel as well. So, they have a lot of reasons to pick up silence, and so having 3 separate silences, I think it makes complete and total sense in the situation. But, now, while it does have damage on it, it doesn't give the agility, giving that kind of attack speed that they would really want on Mirana. So, she sacrifices being as effective a carry. She actually looks to come in as the tower goes down. A lot going on here. Earthshaker gets a very nice ulti all right on top of Windrunner. The Ravage goes off. Here comes a focused Witch Doctor ulti doing tons of damage to everybody. Night Stalker's so close to dead. So is Drow. Everyone's so low. Slaughter comes in here, taps Drow on the head. She goes down. Oh, sorry. Now Drow goes down. I was thinking something else. Pardon me, but there you go. A triple kill for Slardar. 5 go down for Windrunner.
Phenomenal team play there. I mean, you saw some ultis, Tidehunter ultis. That, like you're saying, Witch Doctor ulti, I think it got the full duration. Which, if that can get non-interrupted during a team fight, you're probably going to end up on top of it. I mean, it just does so much damage, even if it's single target at this point. It's still so much max damage. And Slardar, you could see with that armor debuff on top of the medallion, they were able to pick and choose whoever they wanted to kill. And you know what was really unfortunate for the Radiant in that fight is that she leapt in and she used the Orchid Malevolence on Weaver. However, he was already invised apparently when she used it, so he was already safe.
Oh yeah, and that silence can be so useful in Tidehunter too. I didn't actually get to check and see who else caught the silences in that, but all those moves that we were actually just talking about that you want to focus the silences on, every single one of those got off. The Ravage, the full duration, as you were saying, of the Witch Doctor ulti, and Weaver was able to get away. So, despite the fact that they have 2 silences and 1 AoE silence, they weren't able to make effective use of them, and they lose their bottom lane for it.
Battleground go on to Roshan for a second kill. At this point, I think they're gonna. They could still put on Slardar. He is the initiator, I suppose, who has 4,100 gold, FYI. It'll be interesting to see what he decides to turn that into. Maybe an Assault Curious, actually, which would really gel well with this team, you might say. So I guess they are going to give it to Slardar again, so now, good luck trying to stop him.
Yeah, he's going to spend this 4,500 gold. He will be gelling like a felon with this Reaver. He's going to be able to do a tremendous amount of damage and gain some sustainability as well. I was looking at that Roshan kill there, and he has naturally 3 armor, and it was with a minus 14 modifier with all that armor debuff placed on there. And even though you have a really tanky carry Ashiro and Night Stalker, minus 14 armor is huge. That would actually put him at -3 at the moment, despite the fact that, as we were saying, he's just a naturally tanky hero.
Yeah, absolutely. Meanwhile, Shaker's still trying to get that Blink Dagger. If he could get that and get his level 2 ultimate, these fights could be 100% different. He's so effective at dropping his ults, just like a Tidehunter. But if he can't get in there to do it, he's really going to struggle to be useful in these team fights. Kind of same also with that Venomancer. He just gets bursted down so quickly in these fights. He only has 850 health because he decided to go to his arcane boots for his team. He has no real strength, so he just dies too quickly in these fights to really be useful.
Yeah, you're really looking around EHOME's team, and you're looking for that just team gold overall. They're just kind of suffering to put together even their first or second tier items. Then you look over at Windrunner, Mechansum, Arcane Boots, has that Ring of Basilius, a 4-staff, and now an Ultimate Orb. Expensive items, but they can afford it because they've been doing so well throughout this whole game.
Yeah, definitely luxury items at this point because they already have that Mechansum. They have their team essentials for the most part. They'd probably like to get, a pipe on someone, but, obviously they aren't really in dire need of it. Tidehunter actually picked up a Plate Mail and a Mystic Staff, so he's going to go for that AoE nuke frost damage. Is Shiva's Guard? Shiva's Guard.
Yes, Shiva's Guard.
So yeah, that's actually really effective against a Drought and Night Stalker, slow their attack speed. I think a really good pickup.
Yeah, definitely. Like you're saying, that's huge. Just that's kind of what they're forced to rely on now is the attack damage of Drow Ranger, and when she's underfarmed as it is, being forced to pick up Black King Bar instead of a damage item. She's 113 plus 58. It's just really unfortunate. So when you can slow the attack speed of her and the other carries, that's huge.
Absolutely. Initiation on this tower. It's going down to 1200 health. Windrunner already popped their ultimate on to try to do a lot of damage. Now they're trying to follow up with an arrow. 4 staffs out. Going to be a good dodge there. So they're not going to have an easy time pushing this tower. Since Tidehunter and neither Tidehunter or Slardar have that Blink Dagger, they still have to rely on running in and actually dropping everything. So they're interested to see if they can get in there.
Yeah, definitely. It is nighttime. Night Stalker's at his prime. They're going to want to try and do something with that, I'm sure. Mirana actually looks to try and put on some damage onto Weaver. They do have these Venomancer wards that they are going to be able to probably hold this off, but, worst case scenario, if they really want to go in on this EHOME team, the Dire do have that Aegis on Slardar, so they're going to be able to get in there and at least provide some good initiation, and the follow-up damage once he comes up if they are able to burst him down.
Yeah, absolutely, and the Earthshaker did not get his level 2 ultimate for this fight, so they're kind of at a pretty strong disadvantage, actually.
Yeah, that's really strange. Oh yeah, he's level 10, he still hasn't picked up the levels for it, unfortunately. Something that the whole team's really been suffering to get. Drow actually is kind of picked up in levels. She's still far behind the other people on her team. You know, Mirana is level 16, Zadrow's is 14, but she is able to get that second rank for ultimate, giving her that much needed agility for damage and attack speed. You know, while the Dire are able to keep up pressure top, they're allowing creeps to pour in through the back of the base. So really all they have to do is sit up here and keep it contained and just keep chipping away at this tower, which is now down to only 619 health.
Hey, Drow did finish the hell with the Dominator, so look out for some massive lifesteal damage. She could sway one of those raged creeps her way, you know.
You know, it is really nice. You think about it, Drow Ranger gets a lot of damage from her ultimate, so it's not a horrible situation that she can't really pick up any big damage items. Actually, now this tower down to 12 health. They're going to look to pick up a kill here. They do get it. The Dire pick up the kill. Mirana actually wants to try and put in some damage on Windrunner, but she just 4 staffs away, and Witch Doctor turns on that heal, and they're able to come back into the fight at full health. You know, being able to pick up the lifesteal and the Black King Bar on Drow Ranger helps a lot, as we're saying. That ultimate does give her just a lot of damage, so you know, being sustainable might be enough for now. Hopefully she'll be able to pick up some ultis or some good items before this top lane goes down. Venomancer already getting dangerously low. Ravage comes out. Venomancer will go down. He buys back immediately. He wants to be here for this fight. Slardar gets very low. Now comes the Witch Doctor ultimate doing tons of damage. It does finally get stopped. Night Stalker getting very low as Slardar reses and is able to completely dismantle Mirana. Mirana buys back into the game. She needs to be here. Just like Venomancer, to try and stop this, they need this lane to survive. They need to be able to pick off Slardar. Will they be able to? They look to focus their efforts there. Windrunner getting dangerously low. Slardar actually getting very low again. The Poison Cast bouncing around. The wards coming out from Venomancer, trying to keep up what damage she can. Tide Hunter actually gets caught out. A good stun, and Drow Ranger's actually able to pick up a kill here. Much needed. Shibupi used by Weaver. He tries to get in, apply some more damage, and back off. They're probably going to look to back off here for the moment. They don't want to force the issue. They've come here and they've gotten a tower kill, and that's huge to try and push this lane and keep up the assault of the opposing team.
And meanwhile, that whole time bottom lane was able to push through and take those towers. First tower down to half health, that one down to 1300. And this middle lane's just been constantly pressured. So really, I mean, they're doing what they need to do. They're containing them to their base, you know, making Drow farm on these less creeps that give less gold than normal creeps. And, you know, she's not getting the money she really needs to keep up. You know, it was kind of unfortunate that, you know, Slardar died so quickly in that fight. You know, he had to pop that Aegis really early. He couldn't be as effective as he wanted to be, which is kind of where I was going with that Blink Dagger pickup, where I kind of hoped he'd go. I mean, he actually gets a Satanic. That throws me for a curve. What's your thoughts on that?
You know, at this point, he's really just looking to carry. You know, Weaver's doing a pretty good job. Has the mana styles. Really no other damage item aside from that. They really are relying on this Slardar and his minus armor to do a ton of damage. The nice thing for EHOME in how that last fight turned out was Drow was able to pick up a kill. She did survive it, which is something that's probably one of the first time for her in this game to really survive a team fight. So, you know, she's almost 16, able to pick up another 15 agility, so, you know, that's almost essentially another item for her, and just a couple creep kills, so that's really going to help EHOME try and make a swing back. Now, that's the other thing you mentioned earlier with Slardar going down so early. It's nice to see that they are able to try and contain him. He isn't building really tanky. He has a Black King bar and the power treads to help keep him up, but, you know, that's all they have to keep doing. If they can keep holding down this Slardar and don't allow Weaver to farm too much more, they still have a shot at coming back.
Absolutely. But they're going to have to be really good with their initiations and their silences, like you were saying. I mean, if they can get that perma silence in these fights, as well as get Weaver down without letting him use his ultimate.
Weaver actually comes in here with Shibupi. He looks to continue in. They put up some damage here on this Venomancer. Ravage off by Tide Hunter. He gets really low. He will survive it. Venomancer not so lucky. They now have to take down Mirana, who's getting down really low. Really good Earthshaker ulti. Weaver's dominating. He picks up a double kill. Slardar picks up a kill to get unstoppable, and they're going to take this tower. There are no buybacks. 3 members of EHOME's team down. And, you know, a team that, you know, you really expect to do well in these kind of competitions. EHOME is now not knocked out of the game, but is at a game disadvantage here as they continue on into the competition. At least I would imagine so, as this middle tower also gets destroyed. And they're still 12 seconds away from any support.
Yeah, I mean, they even got their Night Stalker pick, and he did so well in the beginning. They just didn't capitalize on it. And since Drow got annihilated, I think that really hurt them to have that, 2-1-2 instead of Tri-Lane bottom. And actually, you see the GG's called. That could be a game clean for SGC. The EHOME now down a game. So, really impressive play by SGC. I don't think anyone really saw that coming, but they did a fantastic job. What are your final thoughts?
Both teams playing really well. SGC really able to keep the contain on the bottom lane, so important. You can hold down really carry heavy teams. You can see 40 minutes in those carries were not able to take off because they were able to do so much to them early and prevent that farm. Thanks everybody for tuning in and watching another game of the Electronic Sports World Cup. Come back and watch more broadcast games to see how the rest of the tournament goes.